is a quiz. Charlie is about 4 years old. His English vocabulary is about 1,500 words. Is it enough? And the answer is, it just depends. This vocabulary is enough in the United States, but not in Shanghai.
Are you kidding?
This is the latest popular topic in China's social media, Weibo and WeChat lately. But it's not a joke. According to a recent report, in China's metropolitan cities, which include Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, the average English vocabulary of grade 1 students reach as many as 2,000 words. The back behind such an interesting phenomenon is the existence of fierce competition for access to quality education resources in big cities. And in Shanghai, its policy of admission to 2 competing junior middle school systems should account for the present situation. Mingban Junior Middle Schools and Public Junior Middle Schools are 2 major competing systems in Shanghai. Till 2017, there are about 108 Mingban Junior Middle Schools in Shanghai, account for about 70% of Shanghai's 653 junior middle schools. Mingban schools are supported by joint enterprises, while public schools are financed by government. The average tuition for Mingban schools is about 20,000 RMB per year, while the public schools are free. Before 2018, Mingban schools could enjoy great advantages over public schools. Because of the policy, there are great disparity in admission. The admission into Mingban schools is earlier than public schools, which enable them to select top students in advance. Public schools are not allowed to select students if it's not a must for them to accept students belonging to their school districts. There are also great disparity in diversity of students. In Mingban schools, most of students come from middle-class families or above, which value education, and most students are with excellent learning abilities and habits. While in public schools, students come from all levels of classes, with all levels of learning abilities and different habits. There are also disparity in teaching resources. For example, in some Mingban schools, students use imported textbooks, while in local public schools, students use Shanghai textbooks. In Mingban schools, teachers could teach beyond teaching syllabus set by Shanghai Educational Committee. Students are being pushed to learn difficult knowledge for their grades, while in public schools, teaching and exams are within the range of teaching syllabus. In the beginning of the implementation of this policy from 2005, it boosted a leap forward in Mingban schools' development. As time went by, this policy exposed the great downsides. If we take a look at Shanghai's education, it is very obvious that Mingban schools have monopolized the opportunities to enter top high middle schools. According to a survey, students from Mingban Junior Middle Schools have accounted for 65% of admissions of Shanghai's top 100 senior middle schools. Because of the great achievement gap in admission to top senior middle schools, competitions for admission of Mingban Junior Middle Schools became fiercer year by year. The anxiety caused by intensified education rates has a negative impact on children's early development. In spite of the fact that early academic training would produce long-term harm on children, many families and educational agencies still push kindergarten children to receive hard academic training, cutting children's time on play and outdoor activities. Look at this picture. 2 papers on children's bags are written with the countdown days for them to join the entrance exams for universities. This popular funny photo on social media fully reveals the ridiculous side of educational competition in big cities. This also damaged the equity of education seriously. We need a change. The policy now has changed. Both Mingban schools and public schools are open to admission at the same period. If Mingban schools receive more students than planned, then admission should be decided by computer selection. Planned enrollment figures of top senior middle schools will be allotted more to public schools. This change has an obvious impact on admission of junior middle schools. Since 50% to 65% students will be enrolled from public schools, the competition has eased up in some way. The average admission rate for local Mingban schools jumped from 5 to 1 to 1.5 to 1. Even though there is still a long way to go to the goal of ensuring each student of quality public education. Still, when thinking about changes in future society, there is great room for policymakers to transform traditional examination-oriented education to education facing the future.